mitral clip procedure for left heart failure with reduced ejection fraction with secondary mitral regurg, and heart failure with preserved ejection fraction with primary mitral regurg, primary severe MR in those patients who are not surgical candidates for repair or replacement of the valve, is one of the established procedures now in this scenario. Mitral clip is a percutaneous catheter-based procedure which alters the mitral wall morphology, as you all know, and it is the A2 and the P2 scallops of the anterior and posterior leaflets which are clipped together to reduce the mitral wall area and to reduce the effective regurgitant orifice area. And this concept was initially evolved long ago, but by the time it came into the first trial, the Everest trial, it took almost a decade before somebody can extrapolate, exploit that concept on a non-invasive semi-invasive platform. So Everest is the first RCT that demonstrated that the procedure is safe, low risk, and is feasible. And this is the typical delivery system of the mitral clip. There is a stabilizer. This is a rotor with which you can rotate the clip and deliver the clip with these prongs. And there's a steerable glide, and the clip actually looks like this, and it stays on the mitral leaflets from the ventricular aspect and clips them together to reduce the effective regurgitant orifice area. So as I said, this is sort of a cardiac interventional procedure, not a surgical procedure. And the Everest trial, which was done, it showed that although percutaneous repair was less effective in reducing quantum of regurgitation, this was, I'm telling you the history because this is a very old trial, almost 10 years old trial. The procedure was associated with superior safety and similar improvements in clinical outcomes, and therefore the guidelines immediately change. You see the European Heart Guideline, percutaneous H2S procedure may be considered in patients with symptomatic severe MR or symptomatic severe secondary MR despite optimal medical therapy. I think Ashish has been harping about it. When we talk about devices, we should never ever subject a patient who is not optimally treated to device therapy of any kind, for that matter, whether it is CRT, whether it is an ICD, or unless there is a clinical ventricular tachycardia or some high-end devices. So those who fulfill echo criteria and judge inoperable or at high surgical risk by the surgeon. This was the heart team approach. And look at the level of recommendation. It was level of recommendation 2B and level of evidence C. So it was a really not a very solid kind of a recommendation for mitral clip after the Everest trial in 2012. Echocardiography is the absolute base of the pyramid of patient selection for mitral clip procedure. One cannot be, I think here, echo is the one which gives you all the criteria, right from patient selection, guidance to transseptal puncture, identification of complication, evaluation of the final result, and then follow-up of the patient in terms of LV remodeling and the fall in pulmonary artery pressure. The criteria for both varieties of primary MR, degenerative primary MR or mitral wall prolapse in a failed leaflet, is a EROA of more than 0.4 centimeter square or regurgitant volume per beat of more than 60 ml. For the secondary MR, it is the EROA of more than 0.25 centimeter square and a regurgitant volume of more than 30 ml per beat. Now, these criteria, despite several advances in the last 9 years, have stayed put at the same level. Why I'm saying this? Because the two pivotal trials, the MITRA FR and later on the COAPT trial, showed divergent results. And the divergent results were shown because in the first trial, the patient selection went haywire. And I will show you how. So this is a typical degenerative MR with mitral wall prolapse, degenerative MR with a flail leaflet. But we are now more focusing in this talk on functional MR, which is the ischemic or non-ischemic variety of functional MR. Now, functional MR can be either because of dilated left ventricle causing dilatation of mitral annulus, or it could be infero-posterior anterior infarction producing tethering of the papillary muscles and inadvertent forces of closure on the subvalvular apparatus of the PML and AML respectively, or it could be even gross left atrial dilatation in chronic atrial fibrillation cause atrial mitral regurgitation. Now, this atrial MR is terminology which has been coined by Hagendorf, which was in a brilliant talk in the last ESC 2019. I will show you some clips of that talk as well. So this is the degenerative mitral leaflet typical Barlow's disease, And today's the GE machines, the transesophageal echo, you can see the scallops of the anterior and posterior leaflets. What is more important, that you add color to it and color kinetics, you see actually this red area, these are the colors which are prolapsing into the left atrium. So you don't have to really do any rocket science, and you don't have to really do a steep learning curve. You do a transesophageal echo, you put the color coding on, and you know which scallops are prolapsing. So that is a very important information. In degenerative fibroelastic efficiency, you have P2 scallop overriding the A2 scallop. They override each other in a flail manner and producing an eccentric jet of MR directed towards the interatrial septum. So in primary MR, what are the good candidates? Those who have A2 and P2 prolapse, those who have central jets, those who have gap in the flail leaflets of less than 10 millimeter, and those who have flail width of less than 15 millimeters. These are the best candidates for the mitral clip procedure. In secondary MR or the functional MR, you see here A1, A2, A3, P1, P2, P3. Now these leaflets don't show red color, they show the blue color because they are tethered and pulled down towards the ventricle during systole, so much so that there occurs non-coaptation and mitral regurgitation. So blue color is a secondary MR, red color is a primary MR with prolapsing or flail leaflets. It is as simple as that. And now GE, Philips high-end machines have the color coding maps for the transesophageal echocardiographic evaluation of the prolapse or the tethering of the different scallops of anterior and posterior leaflets. In secondary MR, the good candidates are central MR jet, tenting height, I will show the diagram, less than 11 millimeter, and coaptation length of more than 2 millimeter with pliable valves. These are the best candidates to do the mitral clip, provided is so big now after the COAP trial, provided that the left ventricular end diastolic volume is less than 170 ml or less than 110 ml per meter square of body surface area, and the left atrium is not too dilated, and the left ventricular volume index is less than 40. So what I mean to say, you cannot take a too sick a patient with secondary MR for a mitral clip procedure. You will have a no-win situation because his destiny is already written by the progressively, terminally diseased left ventricle. This is not a patient who can go for mitral clip procedure. So the echo criteria here again are, I'm repeating, functional MR, coaptation distance more than 2 millimeter and coaptation depth less than 11 millimeter. In primary MR, flail gap less than 10 millimeter and flail width less than 15 millimeters. Then came a beautiful write-up by Paul Bijam, who said you have to identify which MR is symmetric and which MR is asymmetric. Now symmetric CMR is because of non-ischemic dilated cardiomyopathy or some other kind of cardiomyopathy where the ventricle has globular remodeling, the annulus is equally dilated in all directions, producing a central regurgitation jet. The tenting area is not so big. As against in infero-posterior MI or anterior MI with tethering of the subvalvular apparatus of either anterior or posterior papillary muscles and the wall motion abnormality, you have completely eccentric regurgitant jets. This is asymmetric MR, and asymmetric CMRs don't behave well with mitral clip procedure. You have to have preferably a symmetric MR. When you have secondary MR, there are 4 distances which are to be calculated very effectively. One is the distance from anterior aortic root to the base of the posterior papillary muscle. Second is the tenting area. Third is the tenting distance. And fourth is the angle between the AML and the mitral annulus. This we have been calculating very effectively in our lab. Unfortunately, surgeons are not well versed with this concept, and they need a transesophageal echo to document majority of these parameters. Some patients are too sick to undergo transesophageal echo, and then we do it on the table under a short propofol dose. I'll skip this. So this is one article by Paul Graben on defining severe secondary MR in 2014. And this article made a sea of a change in selection of patients with mitral clip procedure. And then the article by Sabaga on mitral valve regurgitation in the contemporary era about the insights into the etiology of mitral regurgitation. So let me talk about the first trial, MITRA-FR trial. This trial involved 452 patients, but finally 109 patients were randomized to mitral clip and 137 patients to optimal medical therapy. Look at this. Thus, red is a grade 4 MR. This is a grade 3 MR. Post clip, the grade 3 MR reduced down to hardly 3%, grade 4 reduced down to hardly 2%. Rest of them remain to grade 1, grade 0, or grade 2 MR. So the quantum of MR came down remarkably with MitraClip. But look at the 1 year. At 1 year, medical treatment or MitraClip, there was no difference in the primary composite endpoint of all-cause death and unplanned heart failure hospitalization. So this trial sort of was a absolute stunning result. The MitraClip propagandists, they were quite stunned. They were shocked to see the results of this trial. And the conclusion was the percutaneous correction of secondary MR with MitraClip is safe and effective. Yes. But does it change the prognosis? No, it doesn't change the prognosis. That's what this trial said. And then just a couple of years down the line, we have COAPT trial. Again, MitraClip guideline-directed medical therapy, 312 patients, and guideline-directed medical therapy, 302 patients randomized. You see here again, grade 4 MR, 51% earlier, reduced to 2%, grade 3 reduced to 6%, rest remained between grade 2, which is blue, and grade 1, which is 73%. So the quantum of MR significantly reduced in the MitraClip at as early as 30 days. And all-cause hospitalizations from heart failure at 1 year came down by 50% with a p-value of 0.000001. And at 1 year, 0.0070000006. So it was a very impressive result in heart failure hospitalizations. Also, the all-cause mortality at 1 year came down by around 38% with a p-value of 0.0007, and at 1 year it remained almost the same, 32%, with a p-value of 0.001. Then we wondered what the hell went wrong with MITRA-FR and what the hell went right with the COAPT trial. The conclusions of the COAPT were in 36 months, transcatheter mitral valve approximation with MitraClip was safe, provided durable reduction of MR, reduction in heart failure hospitalizations, and also improved survival quality of life score with 6-minute walk distance at 36 months compared to guideline-directed medical therapy alone. This was really a big boost to the MitraClip program. Now, this is one slide. Von Hagendorf's pivotal article on what differed between these two trials. And let me tell you, look at the MITRA-FR end diastolic volumes, 145 ml. Look at the COAPT end diastolic volume, 195 ml. Look at the regurgitant volumes, 45 ml with MITRA-FR, this trial, and COAPT, 60 ml. Look at the regurgitant fraction, 60% with MITRA-FR and 120% with COAPT. So COAPT trial took relatively lesser sick ventricles, lesser dilated ventricles with better cardiac output at rest and larger quantum of MR as compared to the MITRA-FR trial, who took, unfortunately, far more sicker patients, far more dilated ventricles with relatively less quantum of MR. These are not the patients who benefit with MitraClip procedure. Dr. Saibal Kar, who's the pioneer in MitraClip, has been my classmate and a very good friend. And he did 2 procedures in Hinduja 3.5 years ago. And both of those patients have been doing well because the patient selection was done under his umbrella, and it sort of, thankfully, with God's grace, went well. So this article of Hagendorf, echocardiographic assessment of functional MR, opening the Pandora's box. I will see you 3 pictures of that. And proportionate and disproportionate functional mitral regurgitation. So the MITRA-FR trial had proportionate mitral regurgitation, proportionate to the dilatation of the ventricle, severely dilated ventricle. MitraClip does not work there. As against when you have not much dilated ventricle, sick ventricle but not much dilated ventricle with disproportionately significant mitral regurgitation. Yes, MitraClip works there. So the new classification of Hagendorf is FMR, functional mitral regurgitation type 1. LV is grossly remodeled. LA is also remodeled, but LV is much more dilated than the LA. Dilated cardiomyopathy, FMR type 2. LV remodeled very, very grossly, LA moderately. Both these two work well with MitraClip, provided your end diastolic volume is less than 110 ml per meter square of body surface area. Then there is a functional MR type 4 called atrial MR. Here the ventricle is near normal. The ejection fraction is normal. The global longitudinal strain is reduced. But look at huge aneurysmal left atrium, producing disproportionate dilatation of the posterolateral medial mitral annulus, producing eccentric jet of mitral regurgitation going posteriorly. These are not the patients who will always benefit with a mitral clip procedure. So there is a unifying concept of quantification of secondary mitral regurg by Barto et al. And this is another wonderful article which you can read to get insights into how you should quantify secondary MR, which patient you should choose secondary MR for sending for the mitral clip by the surgeon if the patient is going for simultaneous bypass surgery or a mitral clip. And I hope and pray that this procedure gets FDA approved very soon. So the low risk candidates are less than 20 ml, 20 millimeter AROA and regurgitant volume less than 30, whereas high risk are EROA more than 30 and the regurgitant volume more than 45. Then Ashish was just harping on ARNI. The prime investigators recently reported a patient cohort with a mean LVED of almost 102 ml, mean LVF of 35%. Just like in contrast to MITRA FR and COAPT with a mean ERA of only around 0.2. So moderate mitral regurgitations. They showed significant decrease in secondary endpoint of regurgitant volume by 33% with sacubitril valsartan. So I think just the way ischemia trial has shown you that majority of the patients with reversible ischemia can be managed with optimal medical therapy. Majority of the patients with cardiac failure should be, and primarily in our country, should be managed with guideline directed optimal medical therapy with maximal tolerated doses of ARNI, beta blockers, plus minus ivabradine, plus minus mineralocorticoid receptor antagonists. And despite that, if they remain symptomatic with significant disproportionate mitral regurgitation, then they'll be the candidates for mitral clip. Thank you.